Hey everybody, Ananth here. You know me, always trying to make tech less confusing, and today we're diving deep into the world of cybersecurity. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's honestly kind of scary how vulnerable it can make you. Think about it. You hear these things like Macs can't get viruses or incognito mode makes you invisible online, but how much of that is actually true? That's what we're here to find out. We're gonna debunk some of the biggest myths I keep hearing, and hopefully give you some practical tips to stay safe in this crazy digital age. So buckle up, hit that like button for the algorithm, and let's separate fact from fiction. Alright, let's start with a big one. Incognito mode. We've all been there, right? You want to browse something a little, shall we say, private, and you think incognito mode is your cloak of invisibility. Well, here's the thing, it's not. Incognito mode is really just about convenience and privacy on your local machine. It doesn't save your browsing history, cookies, or site data on computer. That's great if you're sharing a computer and don't want your history to show, but it doesn't make you anonymous online. Your internet service provider, your employer, if you're on a company network, and even websites themselves can still see and track your activity. It's kind of like driving a car with a covered license plate. You might feel sneaky, but the cops can still see you. So what's the takeaway here? Don't rely on incognito mode as your cybersecurity savior. It's useful for certain situations, but it's not a magic bullet for online anonymity. Okay, next up is a myth that's been around for ages. Macs are immune to viruses. I know, you've probably heard this a million times. Maybe even believed it yourself. And yeah, it's true that Macs historically had fewer viruses than Windows. But guess what? Times have changed. As Macs have become more popular, cybercriminals have definitely taken notice. They're not just targeting Windows anymore. Macs are just as vulnerable to viruses, malware, and other online threats as any other computer. And let me tell you, getting a virus on your shiny new MacBook is not a fun experience. So please don't be complacent. Just because you're on a Mac doesn't mean you can ignore basic cybersecurity practices. Alright, this next one is close to my heart because I'm terrible at remembering passwords. We're talking about the myth that as long as you have a super complicated password, you're basically untouchable. Don't get me wrong, a strong, unique password for each of your accounts is absolutely essential. But here's the catch. In the world of data breaches and phishing scams, even the most complex password might not be enough. Think about it. Hackers are getting smarter. They're using sophisticated techniques to steal passwords, like phishing emails that trick you into giving up your credentials or malware that logs your keystrokes. That's why, my friends, we need to go beyond just strong passwords. We need to embrace the power of multi-factor authentication. This next myth is one that really needs to be busted, especially for all the entrepreneurs and small business owners out there. It's the misconception that only big corporations with tons of money are targets for cyber attacks. And let me tell you, that couldn't be further from the truth. Cybercriminals are like any other criminal. They're looking for the easiest targets with the biggest payoff. And guess what? Small businesses often have weaker security measures in place, making them prime targets. Plus, they might not have the resources to recover from an attack as easily as a large corporation. So, if you're running a small business, don't think for a second that you're off the hook when it comes to cybersecurity. It's crucial to invest in security measures and educate your employees about online threats. Alright, last but not least, let's talk about those pesky software updates. You know, the ones that always seem to pop up at the worst possible time? It's tempting to just ignore them, right? But here's the deal. Those updates aren't just about adding fancy new features or making your device look prettier. They often include crucial security patches that fix vulnerabilities hackers could exploit. Think of it like this. Your software is like a house, and those updates are like security upgrades. Stronger locks, reinforced windows, maybe even a security system. You wouldn't ignore a broken lock on your front door, would you? So, the next time you see that notification for a software update, don't hit "Remind me later." Do it right away. It might be a little inconvenient in the moment, but trust me, it's a whole lot better than the alternative. So, there you have it. 5 of the biggest cybersecurity myths busted. Hopefully you learned a thing or two and maybe even had a few laughs along the way. The internet can be a wild place, but by being aware of these common misconceptions and taking some basic precautions, you can navigate the digital world much more safely. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on more myth-busting content and tech tips. And as always, stay safe and stay informed.